President Biden wants to shut my business down. If you haven't heard, President Biden wants to force businesses with over 100 employees to either have everyone vaccinated or get weekly testing. And no, this is not an exaggeration. There are over 100 million Americans who are going to be affected by his new mandate. Now, how they plan to enforce this and what the consequences will be if you don't follow are yet to be determined. Now, I own multiple businesses, and I have hundreds of people who work for me in some type of capacity. Some are W-2, others are independent contractors. My real estate brokerage, Forever Home Realty, has over 100 realtors. How the government will see them since they're independent contractors remains to be seen. But I can tell you one thing. I will not be enforcing this. I will not be telling anyone to get vaccinated, nor will I be testing them. And if I get any fines, I'm not gonna pay them. If they try to come to my office and shut us down, I'm gonna open up the doors. And if any other action happens after that, well, at least it'll be for good content. I've been pretty silent on my political beliefs when it comes to social media, mainly because people argue over things that don't really matter, and they don't really have solutions to the problems. But with this new mandate, things are now starting to become way too big to ignore and remain silent on. I wasn't happy last year when businesses were forced to shut down. People who had worked years to build up their businesses lost it in an instant due to the government telling them. I saw many entrepreneurs who had put countless hours and years into their businesses building them up, only to have them forced to be shut down and never reopened. I saw people who had great jobs who worked all the way up the ladder over the years to achieve those positions, only to lose them because the business failed. And though I didn't agree with them shutting everything down, I did agree with how they handled the aftermath. They cut stimulus checks to all those businesses that were affected. They gave people more unemployment and stimulus than ever before, and they did things like lower interest rates and make borrowing even easier. To me, the government had to do those things because they owed it to the citizens. When you take away someone's ability to go run a business and you take away someone's ability to go earn a living, you should reimburse them for everything that they lost. But here's the thing, it's now been almost a year and a half and there is still no end in sight. It feels like things are just being strung along as we go, with one carrot just waiting at the end that never comes. First, the shutdowns were supposed to be a temporary thing. Then we were only gonna have masks until the vaccine came. Now that the vaccine's here in the masses, it still doesn't matter. Life is pretty much the same as a year and a half ago. And in fact, it seems like more restrictions and government control is coming. On Instagram in December of 2020, I posted some assumptions that I was gonna make for 2021. And it's pretty scary how closely they've played out. The first was the world wasn't gonna be back to normal. My guess was that 2022 was when we would return to normalcy. And though that has played out perfectly, 2021 has not been normal by any means. I'm now doubtful that 2022 is gonna be any better. Second thing I said was that there was gonna be vaccine drama. I said people weren't gonna take it, and there probably was gonna be new strains of the virus. Guess what? We now have something called Delta. And I still believe we're gonna act in fear with any new threatening virus. The third thing I said was there's even more stimulus money coming, and that's why I'm buying real estate and Bitcoin. 2020 proved that with stimulus money, people wanted to invest it into assets. Well, we've seen that accelerated in 2021. This has been the hottest real estate market I've ever seen in my entire life. Cryptocurrencies and NFTs have gone completely crazy. The fourth was the power of social media growing even bigger. You've seen this on YouTube, TikTok, and all these other platforms. People are now more connected to their phones than ever. And the last thing I predicted was interest rates were gonna get even lower. And that's exactly what's happened, allowing all these other assets to grow with the use of debt. So those turned out to be pretty spot on, and they've allowed me to do some big things in 2021. And as a business owner, you've got to make assumptions for what you think the future is going to be for your decisions today. Last year, I bought a ton of real estate during the lockdown because I believed it was temporary. And that bet ended up paying me millions of dollars because of it. But now this thing that I once thought was temporary, I'm not so sure of anymore. And this isn't about being an anti-vaxxer or anything like that. Our country was founded on having freedom, and that's what I believe. In this country, we get to live how we want. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, gay, straight, Christian, Muslim, you name it, you can live how you want. In other countries, it's not like that. You don't get the opportunity to live a certain way. And the same thing applies to vaccines and how you want to live with that. If you believe that unvaccinated people are a risk to you or to your children, You do not have to hang out with them. You get to choose the job that you work at. You get to choose whether you want to send your kids to school. You get to choose whether you want to go outside or go to a restaurant. You get to choose where you live. You get to choose how you treat your body, whether you work out or not, whether you do drugs, whether you want to drink alcohol. It's all up to you in this country. And one of the biggest pushbacks I've been hearing from people is that, well, the hospitals are getting filled up. All the unvaccinated people are taking spots, and if somebody else has an accident, they're not going to be able to get the treatment they need. And it may be true, but at this point, do we believe we have enough hospitals and staff for the long run? I sure don't think so if this is constantly a problem. If we're going to start treating every virus or threat like the way we are now, then we probably need to start having a plan to build more hospitals and make it easier to go through medical training. So whether that's incentivizing the developers to build hospitals, whether it's the government subsidizing college for any medical personnel, whether it's giving forgiveness to medical loans right now, there's a lot of things that we can do. We've given stimulus money every way you can imagine it, but why are we not investing it into our health? For me, it doesn't matter whether you're in the hospital for being unvaccinated, or if you had a freak accident, or you treated your body like crap because you didn't eat right, you didn't work out, you abused it. All of these things are the same to me. You can't just blame it on all unvaccinated people because this is gonna be a problem going forward. But nonetheless, as somebody who's never been political, it's become increasingly clear to me that this is not a temporary thing. Even if you force everyone to get vaccinated, which I think is a very real possibility, what happens after that? Once you set precedents for something, it makes everything after that become much easier. And who knows what the next big threat will be for society. Either way, we're gonna see how this plays out, but right now the signs aren't looking good.